G'day legends, in this video we're going to be talking about Islam Makhachev's team saying that they can stand with Dustin Poirier, and it all falls into my theory that Dustin Poirier is going to sleep Islam Makhachev at UFC 302, and we're going to find out together live this Saturday night. So, team, the corner, boys, okay? You know that this weekend it's time for the diamond to get belted up. The moment in history that we have all been waiting for years is upon us. I cannot wait, okay? 2 weeks ago, I made a pretty heavy prediction that Islam Makhachev is going to try and stand with Dustin Poirier, and Dustin Poirier is going to sleep him. Then last week, we prayed together to the MMA gods. And boys, alhamdulillah, it seems like the MMA gods have heard our prayers and they've started intervening. They've started invading Islam Makhachev's mind, right? They've given him visions of him standing with Dustin Poirier and knocking him out. The ego of Team Dagestan has finally reached its maximum levels, okay? Islam Makhachev and his coach have both hinted to the fact that they're going to be trying a striking plan when it comes to Dustin Poirier. And that's what we're going to be looking at in today's video and get a little bit more pumped up for UFC 302. So what exactly did Islam Makhachev's coach even say? He said, in my opinion, even if you put the wrestling aside, Islam can outstrike him in pure boxing and Muay Thai. There is no aspect in which he lags behind, brother. This is Magomed guarantee. Islam Makhachev also put a statement out himself 2 weeks ago, said that he's planning something very special for the diamond at UFC 302. And this is exactly what we asked for in our prayer video, isn't it? This is something that I've been alluding to for a very long time on the live streams or on some other videos. Team Dagestan, the Dagestanis, they have been training at AKA, American Kickboxing Academy, for a long time. And so far, their MMA careers, they have really grown as an entire MMA team. But now with putting Alexander Volkanovski away, it has capped off their belief that they are elite level strikers. Look, I do not blame them for thinking that down at that team. They did, fair play, have success with Charles Oliveira. Obviously, in the first Alexander Volkanovski fight, they did have very good success with Alexander Volkanovski on the feet. And then in the second Alexander Volkanovski fight, they managed to get that clean, crisp knockout. Like, fair play to you, mate. You kicked his bloody head off. But, so I don't blame them for falling into the trap of thinking that they have elite level striking. But if you think that a fresh off the couch, little Alexander Volkanovski at 155 and a bit of belly fat and Dustin Poirier are the same thing, are the same striking game, then I don't know if you really understand the complexities of MMA striking, Team Dagestan. I don't know if you really understand the difference of what is going on there, okay? Number one is obviously the size difference. Alexander Volkanovski is a lot shorter, has a lot less range, making it much easier for that head kick to come over the top, right? Alexander Volkanovski also employs a little bit of a lengthy kickboxing sort of fighting style that we see a lot from Australian MMA fighters, whereas Dustin Poirier, very squared up, heavy boxing style, high shoulder guard, able to roll with power shots very cleanly. And when Islam, when he did get that knockout, it was on a much shorter opponent with that head kick that we just said, like it went right over the top of Alexander Volkanovski's head guard. And the height advantage isn't going to be there when he steps into the cage with Dustin Poirier. The other thing to consider as well is also, and it's something that a lot of Dustin Poirier's opponents fall into, it's the trap game of Dustin Poirier, okay? Now look, no Diddy, all right? No John Jones, but we're going to be talking about Dustin Poirier's trap game here, all right? Like, you might just be asking, what is Dustin Poirier's trap game? Essentially, because he has such a high guard and he holds his hands so high and so well and rolls his shoulders with a lot of shots, a lot of the time, strikers fighting Dustin Poirier find themselves with Dustin backed up against the cage, and they're pressuring very high shots around his temple, trying to put him away. But what they're actually doing is only landing on Dustin's forearms, right? They notice that they're not getting any good, clean strikes off, so they drop their shots down to their body. And this is right when Dustin Poirier throws his big, meaty hooks. Sorry, Lucas, I know, Jesus. throws these big meaty counter shots, right? And punches his way out of the corner. We have seen this from Dustin Poirier time and time again. In the Dan Hooker fight, in the first Gaethje fight, recently in the Chandler fight, again with the in the Benoit fight, he decided he was just going to guillotine his way out. Don't do that this time, Dustin. But that is essentially Dustin Poirier's trap game. It is to mount up pressure and allow his opponent to start to come at him, work him against the cage. And with Dustin being that old, hard veteran that he is, just that tough piece of leathery meat that you can't chew through, it's this little visual trick that he plays with us, but he also plays it with his opponents, right? It's when it looks like he's pinned up against the cage. It's very Israel Adesanya against Alex Pereira. You've got him up against the cage. You're working hard at putting him away. You're putting in these heavy breaths, just working at him. And that's when he releases these furious counterattack. And that is when he ends up getting that win, okay? And I think truly, that is what we are going to see at UFC 302 with the inflated ego of Team Dagestan coming out and wanting to make a point against Dustin Poirier. They want to make a point that they're not just the #1 pound-for-pound team in the world because of the wrestling, but also because of the striking. And they're going to try and beat one of the UFC's elite strikers at their own game, okay? That is what they think is going to happen. But at UFC 302, Dustin Poirier is going to sleep Islam Makhachev on the counterattack. So Islam, if you want to prove that you really are an elite level striker, okay, pull a Justin Gaethje, pull a Michael Chandler. Don't throw a single takedown for the entire fight, because there are Chads out there who don't just talk the talk. They have amazing American credentialed wrestling, and they literally do not throw a single takedown the entire fight. So if you really want to prove to the world that you're the big dog, #1 pound-for-pound fighter that you say you are, don't throw a single takedown, because what I think is going to happen is you're going to choose to stand with Dustin Poirier, and it's going to start to get a lot harder than you think it is. You're going to realize that Dustin Poirier's striking is not the same as Alexander Volkanovski's striking, and you're going to start to spam a Merab Dvalishvili level of takedowns. And we're going to see you in the exact same position you were in against Alexander Volkanovski. Remember when you just held him in the backpack position for the entire round? You were just staring at the clock, begging for the round to be over, praying that this fight would be over as soon as possible because you were in a much harder fight than you expected to be in. Rather than saying we're going to outstrike Dustin Poirier, I think that's exactly what's going to go down. You're going to try and outstrike Dustin Poirier. It's going to be a lot harder than you think it is, and you're going to resort to backpack riding mode. And it's very, very hard to be respected as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world when you're just clinging on in the backpack position, mate. That's it then. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like down there. If you think that Islam Makhachev has a chance of winning that fight, put it down there in the comments as well. We're going to be live streaming all of UFC 302, so if you want to jump in for some of the early prelims and then go check out some of your other favorite MMA YouTubers, feel free to do that. I'll be around anyway. And of course, I will see you all in the next video.